Okay, so last class, here's where we left off. What I want to do today is kind of fix this guy up a little bit more, give it a little more definition, and then come back and finish out some of the rest of this stuff. Alright, so if I select all, unhide all, I just want to select my reference along with that. So now I've got my reference, and it's got like these little shards here, and like maybe like a little crystal right there. Right, and I think that's kind of what I want to emulate. So we're just gonna go in the front view here, turn on our edit poly, Alt and X. That will show us what our model looks like in X-ray view. Okay. Actually going to turn this guy into a corner. Now go back into my edit poly view just like that. Alright, so as you guys can see, all I need to really do for these guys is I need to make cuts. I'm hitting Alt C to get my cut tool. And the reason it didn't show up because I had my keyboard shortcut override turned off. So I just turned it on. Now if I hit Alt and C, it turns on my cut tool. And if you can go find it here in your modeling tab. It's right here in your edit poly or edit geometry section right there too. So if you're looking for it, that is where it is. So now we're just trying to create some of these ridges that it has. So the best way to do that is just start cutting through the mesh here. Right. If I hit F3, just maybe even give it start just kind of I'm gonna kind of cut there. Excuse me. So I'm just kind of cutting. Okay, so it's got like some of these bigger shards, and it's got a shard that goes like right here, kind of builds on top of each other. So that's something I want to take into account. So if I hit here, so it looks like there is, right, there's a shard that goes kind of like this, follows that curve like that we can extrude later on. Right, and then, just kind of making some more connections here just to make sure I'm giving myself a quad-based topology. You guys know the drill by now, so actually connect this here so I can do this, like that, right? I was just too far away from it, so it connected to the wrong area. But now, I'm getting some decent looking topology on there. So now if I hit F3, I can start to see what I need to do. So maybe right here it's kind of like this. This guy right here, let's hit Alt X. So right here, there's like this kind of shape like that. And for that, we can then just, right? Just like that. So we can select all, right click, and then weld, just to make sure everything's welded together. Then I can throw a shell modifier on this bad boy. Then throw an edit poly on this bad boy. On top of that, hit Alt X. Right, and we know that it's supposed to be replicating kind of like a jagged tooth edge or something like that. So yeah, we can hit F here, Alt, select our top polys like that. Right. So with these, it's right here, it's this little ridge right here. So we can extrude those. So I might want to deselect these top polygons that I have selected here. Now I can just right click and extrude, just like so. Just extrude them out a little bit. And I'm gonna definitely ring connect, right? And then split this guy, grab this side, delete this side, then grab this, throw a symmetry modifier on it. Right, you guys know this is just, you know, par for the course at this point. You know. Then I can go back under into my symmetry modifier here. And what I might want to do is I want this to kind of fit in there. So I can select by angle here. Alright, select by angle. So it's going to select those top verts for me, deselect it. And then I might just shrink a little bit so that it selects these inside faces, like so. And now I can just shift drag and then select this edge. Right, kind of make it bevel so it kind of fits into our shape, like so. Maybe select this guy, give it more of like a beveled. Let me just remove that. Like so. Okay, so now I can start taking some of these pieces and then doing something similar to them on the other side. So like some of these pieces can, you know, come in and go out and be extruded. Right, so you can start to extrude where you need to get those pieces. Alright, so like right here, this gets extruded. Right, I feel like these kind of pieces are just extruded out a little bit more. And then this one actually goes the opposite way. Like that. And then here, so I might, you know, kind of, because it's kind of like a blade's edge, so you might want to, you know, start moving some of these guys in so that they have kind of more of a pointed edge to them. Right, and because, you know, I've got that symmetry modifier going for me, I don't, you know, only have to do it to one side and it mimics it and does it on the other side for me. So that's the beauty of kind of working symmetrically. So now if I pull, right. Right, you can even scale them in. Just select it like so, and then just scale it in on the y-axis. Whoops. Maybe deselect this guy. And just pull it in on the y. So all this, I'm going to throw FFD modifier on these guys, and then select these guys, and I'm just going to scale it in. Let's throw my FFD on. Throw an edit poly on top of that symmetry modifier. Make sure I have all those selected. I'm just gonna cut this because I wanted to just kind of scale these. So I have these verts selected where I wanted to scale. So now I can just select all of these guys like so, and then now I can just scale those guys in. Alright, so let's throw a turbo smooth and see what kind of junk we're gonna get at first. Let's turn on our smoothing groups here. Alright, let's do 2. Okay, looks horrid, but bear with me. We're gonna throw an edit poly modifier, select all of those. Actually, then we're gonna clear that and then do an auto smooth and see what we get after the fact. All right, it's starting to get there. It's starting to look a little better. Maybe do a smooth 30. It might do better edges. Yeah, we'll do a little better. All right. So we're starting to get, you know, those hard edges that I'm talking about. We're getting some of those in there. But yeah. So if we look at the wireframe here, it's not too crazy. So one thing I might want to do is I might want to weld these together so I can use my snaps and I can snap edges to edges. So I can take this edge and then, whoops, it's not turned on. So take this edge, snap it to that edge. Alright. Or I can take these verts. So I grab the verts, boop, like that, like that. The reason is that I'm about to weld these together, so like that. Right. Just weld these together here in a second, but I want to, kind of bring them as close together as possible, so it'll make the welding a little bit easier. Nah, no. Not that guy. This guy. And this guy. This guy. F3 to use our superpowers to see right through. Yep. And then we can just Control A, right click, weld. You'll see that now we went from 367 to 329. Alright, I'm going to select all these again, clear my smoothing groups, auto smooth 30. Here we go. Now that looks a little bit better to me. So where I'm starting to see a little bit of issues that it's dealing with is F2, right around here. So if we want, we can throw a smoothing or a locking loop here. Right, you guys can see that how that transitions that flow. Right, and you guys see where whenever I turn on this turbo smooth, you see all these wavy lines. Right, the reason is, we don't have locking loops everywhere yet, so if we wanted, we could kind of lock these guys off, and it'll take care of some of that waviness that we're getting. So I'll make it as wavy. It'll lock off this edge right here. But for, rendering purposes, this isn't bad, so all we need to do is now throw on another turbo smooth on top of this guy, like so, and then we can start getting some of those jagged lines. All right. Alright, so I see some more little shapes in here. I think that'll take this to the next level. So I'm just gonna add some more shapes here. So I'm just gonna turn these turbo smooths off. Let's hide our selection and go back into our line tool. So there's like this little shape right here, right, that I see. Let's turn off our snapping so that we're not snapping to this anymore. All right, let's close that up. Just using the you know, a similar procedure. We're just gonna do an edit poly here like so. Now Alt C, and I'm just gonna start cutting once again so that I have my jagged edges having some sort of connection. And I can kind of, you know, I can make them more crystalline in shape if I want, so that they're not as uniform. So maybe this one goes that way, and then this one, and this one, and this one. So I can make them more crystalline in kind of shape and dimension and things like that, so that what I'm going to do is select all. Actually, let's finish connecting these. I'm going to cut right here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. So now I got to think about how I want to split this in half. So I can go like this, long ways, or I can go short ways like that. So I'm just going to go short ways like that. And I've still got one here. So now I would go here like so. So now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm hiding it right in here where you can't see it. So this is kind of like a high valence point right here, but we've hidden that. And if we wanted, we could move it to another place, but this is a fine location for it. So the next thing that I want to do is let's grab the entire thing, maybe inset it and see if that'll inset, and maybe let's just pull this out a little bit, and then let's bring it out like so. Control A, unhide all. Just going to select this little piece that we made, Alt Q, to isolate it once again. Alright, so just trying to figure out the kind of detail that I need for this guy. Alright, so this isn't bad at all. I'm starting to dig the shapes we're getting together here. Alright, so with this, you know, I've already kind of triangulated it. So what I would do is then I would just grab this guy in the edit poly. I would then just go ahead and attach this guy to our model here. Shift drag like so, just embed it, make sure it's nice and embedded in there. A little bit more, maybe bring this guy, whoops, bring this guy down a little bit so that it's not protruding over our existing silhouette, and it's not going to cause us any trouble in the long run. So now I just want to select the middle once again, throw that symmetry modifier on, right? And now we've got that crystalline-like detail on both sides. Now we can just throw. Alright, let me make sure all of my smoothing groups are correct first. I'm just going to clear all, auto smoothing groups. Alright, so it's getting kind of Gumby-ish with this new detail that we added, so we're probably gonna have to add some extra locking loops to this guy. So we'll go back into our edit poly view here, and what we're gonna want to do is just select some of these and then just throw some locking loops in there. So what I'll usually do is I'll usually go in here, I'll hit Alt-1 on my keyboard to turn on my Swift loop, and I just, you know, I kind of start throwing loops in here, and, you know, so you'll see what I'm talking about. So now, if I throw one right here, go to my edit poly, turn on my, right, you guys can start to see that, oh, okay, it's starting to get a little, that hard edge kind of feel to it. Alright. So maybe what I want to do is with this guy, instead of turbo smoothing it, maybe we detach it. I'm going to go into this guy right here. I'm going to remove these locking loops that I added first of all so that I can do this. Let's turn on, let's see what chamfer would do to this. Let's see what a chamfer would do. Edit poly, make sure nothing's selected. It's going to crunch it up at first, but once we bring this back out, we might get some interesting detail. Alright. So something like that, it's not bad. Yeah. The lower we, you know, we go on the threshold, that the sharper that kind of edge is going to be. And that's not bad. And you can change the type. Alright, try uniform, radial. I usually go with quad, kind of like a quad based system. No, do quad. Tries. Okay, this isn't bad. It's kind of crystalline in shape and it looks kind of cool. Okay. Now I can throw an edit poly modifier on that guy. Hit F4. I might just want to fix some of the silhouette of this. Make sure these guys either, yeah, I just need to pull this guy out. And then pull this guy out like so. Just making sure that my silhouette looks good. that. Like that. Just checking our soul life value, making sure everything falls where it needs to go. All right. So the thing is, with this, now I might want to start throwing some edge loops in here myself. Alright, so now let's create a material that's kind of like that ice, this kind of like ice gradient material. So the easiest way to do that would be to just start with a physical material, and then in your maps here, go to general, and then you can maybe use a fall off. Let's see. Yeah, let's try a gradient. And then let's see if we can. We're going to do it a few different ways, is what I'm going to say. We're going to try it a few different ways and see which way looks the coolest. Okay, so the idea is we want two different colors. We want this dark blue, and we want this lighter color where it fades into it and almost goes into kind of white. So I'm going to give it a little bit of adjustment here, but it doesn't go completely to white, but it's like a lighter blue. So you can see that it's got this blue around the edge there. So I'm going to assign this to the base color, and let us now assign it to our object. All right, so, and it's not really doing its thing until we throw on a UVW map. All right, you guys can see now we've got that lighter color in the middle, and then the blue around. You can see that I'm moving it around. All right, so this is one of the ways that you can attempt to do this. So let's see if I can find a radial, something like a round gradient ramp. I'm trying to see how I can make it like a radial version. I don't see one. Is it in gradient ramp? Negative ramp. Gradient type. Here we go. Radial. All right. Radial. And now I can just let's get our colors here. Let's get the deep blue, and then it goes almost to this white-ish. Let's go lighter than this, and then in the middle it goes almost to the white. All right. So linear, radial. But I think it needs to be, I think it needs to be the opposite. All right, so now we need the opposite of this, so I just need to flip this guy, all right, to the lightest, and then this guy to the darkest. So now I should be able to pull this, and you guys can see now I'm getting kind of like that hot white center, and then I've got the overall outer blue that I'm looking for there, which is pretty cool. So that's how I would do something like that to kind of get that. And then you can pump this into like the scatter, the transparency, the displacement, and different things like that too. So if we're trying to make it, you know, transparent like that, we can do something like that. We can just take this and drop this in the transparency of the object as well. Increase the roughness. Little things like that, and then whenever we render it out, it would render out something pretty cool. So let us assign that material as well to this guy. As well, and then we can even copy and paste this this UVW map to our model. Oops. Now they're sharing the same kind of look. All right, and then for this part, it's kind of got that brownish texture, so I can double click there, grab this guy, this brown texture, throw it on, and then I'm going to turn up the roughness here so it's not super shiny. I'm going to select this guy. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. What I meant to do is select the color and then select this guy. And then shift drag, then select our inside color, and I can make that just a little more brighter and saturated, just so we know what what we're really working with. So I'm gonna go call this inner underscore glow. We'll call this rune brown, and then it's like a rune dark brown. All right, and then I'll even select one and then make it the rope. And just add a rope, select this guy, and then yeah. Now I've got my rope, I've got my rune color. So if I hit Control and Alt, what that does is it grabs whatever material I have, and then it grabs the children of it as well. So Control and Alt will do that for you. But let us assign some of our materials while we work on them. Right. So for these rune kind of like pieces, I'll throw that rune material on them. And then now, with this guy, we're gonna want to, so this guy would have kind of that, I'd probably then click inset this guy a little bit like so, then X, and then I would just regularize the loop to give myself a nice circle in here. Scale this in like so, just bring it right around here. Assign that new material like so. Alright, because you guys can see it's got that that kind of deal going on. And then for these guys, actually, I want to remove this extra because it's kind of affecting the roundness of the shape. So let me remove that. Do less moving. There we go. There we go. I might even want to, you know, find a way to smooth this out a little bit more. I might want to scale some of this stuff in or something like that, just so it's giving me a better silhouette value. Because it doesn't look very holdable. I know that's a technical term, but you know, one of those things I might want to do is maybe start selecting stuff like this and just giving it a little more form. See what I'm saying? So now, here we go. Let's give it a little bit more form. Things like that. Add a new wire color. All right. So here we are today. We're almost done. I just need to finish this rope and I'll call it a day, but I can also copy this symmetry modifier and then paste it on here as well. So just like that. Maybe go into my material and make it not as transparent. Make it very apparent. Alright, so here we go. So we're almost done with our rune shape here, our little rune arrow. We got some finishing touches to kind of put on it, but it is well on the way. I'm gonna have to come in here still and right, like in here. I'm gonna have to let's select by one and then shrink a little bit. Right, still going to have to add some more, you know, some more kind of pieces, you know, some more insets and different things like that to start to bring it, you know, to the final stages. But in the next couple of classes we'll finish that, you know. And sometimes it's usually these pieces that you think, oh, this is a really simple piece or something like that, and then it becomes, you know, a relatively tricky piece, you know. So and that's part of the fun, that's part of the challenge of making this stuff, is, you know, figuring out all these little issues and seeing where where you need to give and take from the model. So once again, don't be scared to try this stuff and mess up the model. And you know, this is your time to do it. You're in school now. Like, don't, you know, when you get into the workforce, you're not going to get a chance to really mess up as much. So I would take this opportunity now. To learn as much as you can and fail as much as you can. You know, so yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be my my lecture for the day. We will resume this topic next class.